All right, guys, welcome back to the live stream this evening. A little late live stream this evening. We are going to be talking about dimmer switches. So we've got these just basic RV style dimmer switches. I was talking in a previous stream about how sometimes just going to the basics, something nice and simple, is good to have in a van. You can easily get these off of Amazon or pretty much anywhere if something were to happen to this. So what I'm doing right here is I'm getting ready to install this. You guys can see that these two holes right here have been cut out in the kitchen galley, so that's where these are going. These two switches control the front and rear LEDs. So not only do they do the front and rear on and off, but they have a little dimmer switch over here on the side so you can dim them. What's nice is it'll actually dim and then stay. So if you want to keep it at a dim state, say it's nighttime, you can do that. So really simple. And then it comes with covers to make everything nice and neat. So we're going to install these. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about wiring. I'm going to pick up and show you the different what we have wired up here. So I'll show you the kind of the chaos first, and then I'll break it down to show you kind of simply where everything is going. In particular, we're going to be going over these two wires. So these two are the dimmer control wires. So if I pick up this big old chunk of wires here, this is what is coming from our EcoFlow fuse panel in the back of the van. So this is 12 and 110 wires together. Obviously the circuits are independent, but we wire them all underneath the floor together. So here's the big chunk. So the first one that we have is with this yellow one. And so this one is going to the water heater. So what this does is we'll actually cut this off and strip it. Is essentially a heavy-duty extension cord, but it is special because it is 12 gauge. So this is not a cheapo. It's actually pretty expensive. But this 12 gauge has a lit circuit on the end of it. So when it's energized or powered, the end of this is going to light up and let you know that there's power going to the water heater. The same thing is made for the microwave. It's a great way to troubleshoot. Not only that, this is just a nice chunky 12 gauge wire with a really kind of robust outside, so good to go with that. Now that is coupled with, so this is just going to the heater. So this will go to electrical box underneath the kitchen galley here. That electrical box is going to have a switch, just a simple household switch, off and on. But we need power to run the hot water heater. And that power comes in one of these 12 gauge marine cables. So one of these says, if I can find it here. Okay, so this one is the 110 volt hot water. So this cable is going to be essentially powering the yellow cable, if you can think about it. So think about power coming in from your inverter, and then this will get chopped off, and then there'll be a switch in between here. And so that will turn that circuit on and off for the hot water heater. Just nice, simple, on and off. So all you need to do is flip the switch on about 15 minutes before you want hot water, and it'll be ready to go for you. We're using a Bosch residential 4-gallon hot water tank in the back. So next, we'll stick with these 110 wires. So now we have the 110 volt outside outlet and the inside outlet. So the inside is actually what we're going to be wiring after this live stream goes tonight. This is going to come up into the kitchen galley, and it's actually going to come out right here. So we'll drill a hole with a hole saw, and we'll have that. Not only will our wires be going there, but also we'll have another hole, and that's where our PEX A water lines are going to come from. So we'll have the blue cold water line coming from the freshwater tank, and then we'll have the red hot water line coming both up here, going straight up into the sink, and that'll be that part. But after we do that, we have 110 outlet up here, and we're using our really cool hideaway outlet with USBs. Now, my recommendation is use the USBs that are dedicated 12 volts. It's quite inefficient to just turn the inverter on just to use these USB ports. Think of these USB ports as a bonus when you have the inverter on. So if you have the inverter on and you know you're going to have hot water running or you're going to be using a microwave, feel free to use these. But I wouldn't turn the inverter on just to use these, if that makes sense. It'd be better to put one of your power bricks in here and get, a faster charge. These are not quick charge ports, so they only provide 4.8 amps of charging. So they're just your standard USB, but they're integrated into the 110 circuit. So there's only 110 going to here. This is not 12 volt powered. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is going to go on top of the kitchen, and when you have it, it's there if you want to put your induction stove or turn a blender or something like that, and then you can just shut it up out of the way. It is water resistant, so it has a gasket here, but it's not waterproof. But this is going to go and be powered right up there. And speaking of that, our countertop is being clear coated right now. So it's over here on my right, and it has had its fifth or sixth coat of clear. It's a matte clear, and it takes 24 hours to dry. But we have our top outlet up here, and then this is going to be our bottom outlet down here for if you want to cook outside. So those are your outlets inside the van. All right, so making our way towards what we're talking about today. Next one, we have our 12 volt heater supply. Now, I've relocated the heater supply, so this is now an open option, so we can use this for some type of 12 volt power if we want to, or we can just hide it away and use it at a later date. Sometimes it's good to do that, is, run some extra circuits, especially if you're doing what I did and ran them underneath the floor. Then last but not least, we have our 12 volt water pump and tank LED power. So what this is, this is where I'm getting into the point of the video today. Let's see here. Volt heater supply. All right, so the point of today's video is that this water power switch, and the two 12 volt lighting switches here. So these are control wires. So what they're doing is they are an off and on, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking these rear LEDs and front LEDs, and this is the water pump switch, and these are going to be turned into a switched circuit, but the power is going to be coming from back in the van. So I know that's confusing. That's why I'm doing this video. So if you notice, if I just connected, so we have a front and we have a rear. So let's just, let's focus on our, let's just do the rear lights for right now. So this cable, if we connected it right here, so our negative to negative, positive to positive, and we turned it on, so nothing would happen. Because that's not how the circuit's designed. So the way I designed it is that I want this circuit to, I want it to connect the circuit, and then I want it to dim the circuit. So this is where it gets kind of confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, this is our rear LED light. And I've got a piece of wood here that we're going to draw on, if I can go pick it up. Okay, so if that's right there, let me see if you guys can see that. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that. So I'm just going to tack nail this to the kitchen galley. It's not going to hurt anything, but that way I can just rip it off when I'm done. But this way, this will actually act as our little whiteboard. Okay, let me make sure we don't need to zoom in. We'll zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so what we have is we have our switch. So this is the dimmer side, and then this is the actual switch itself. So this is that's the button. And then, so we have, this is our front, this is our rear. This is our rear switch. Okay. And so we got 3 wires coming out. We have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So our first one is going to be, so this one is negative. Our second one is positive. And this third one we're just going to label W because it's white. So we got negative, positive, and W. Okay. All right, that's better. Now you guys can actually see. Oh, that's right. It's the front switch and the rear switch. So here's the, I guess if I could actually, if I could bolt that up there, that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, we're just going to hold that up there. So within this circuit, we have black, red, white, black, red, white. So to control the lights on and off, we want the positive wire to be connected to the battery. So this one's connected to the battery. It's not connected to the positive of the LED, for example. Let me grab an LED. So now that I'm doing this, I'm actually going to make like a little demo board so you guys can kind of get this. Okay. So here's our LED that's in the ceiling. And so you would assume that we're going to connect the negative and positive of the switch to the negative and positive of the light. So we're not going to do that because it won't operate the way you want it to. So what we want to do is we want to turn the light on and off from the switch. So we want to turn it on and off. But then when we turn it on, we wanted to have it to be dimmable. So that's why we got 3 wires here. The white wire is the dimming wire. This is what is controlling the dimming. Think of this wire and the red wire as the same. So basically, the red is going to be the power coming in. So think of the red. So think of that as power coming in to the switch. So same thing over here. The red is power coming in. So this is okay, so this is positive from the battery coming in. And so this is your positive. Okay, and then down here is your okay. So here's your battery. Positive. Positive is coming in to your switch. All right? So for our case, the positive coming into our switch, this line that we have ran to the kitchen galley, on the opposite side of this, this is going to be connected to the battery. So when that power comes through, it's going to come through on the red wire. So power coming through the red. Our ground is simple. So the ground is just going to be a ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the ground here of both of these switches, and let's just imagine that we have a ground coming up here. Now, the reason I'm making this little black dot, that's not a symbol for anything. I'm just trying to keep things organized. But this dot, let's make it bigger so we really know what we're doing. So think of this as our grounding negative. Okay, so negative right here. So if you notice on one of my switches, let's get rid of this one. So on one of my switches, I have these Wago connectors. And so on the Wago connector, I have a 2 connector, a 2 connector, and then I have a 3 connector. Okay, because what I'm going to do is I only have front LED, rear LED. Okay, these are my control wires coming from the fuse box. I only have 2 wires on each. I don't have 3. So how can I make 3 into 2? So this is what I do. This red, the positive and the white wire is now going to be the positive and then the black wire, and then the positive and then the black wire. So my control wire, which is the white one from this switch, that white one from the switch is actually going to connect to the black of my control wire. So the white of my switch is going to go to the black of the front LED, and then the white of my second switch is going to go to the black of my rear LED. My power coming in is going to be still going to be the red side, and then my power coming in on the front is still going to be my red side. So now what do I do with the ground? So the ground can be from any circuit. So basically what I'm going to do is I can take my, since we're talking about LED lights here, so the current is nothing. And all these wires are way oversized. So we can either tap the ground from our water pump, and then that water pump ground, we can actually add all of our grounds to one circuit. So what we'll do is we'll take this Wago 3 connector, okay, so now the Wago 3 connector has taken care of our ground. And so we got two wires, and then this, our third ground wire. This ground can be grounded to, you know, any of our 12-volt lines that we've actually pulled from here. So we can piggyback off. Well, I mean, that's what I'm going to do. Your circuit might be different, so this is only for my application. So now we have both switches. The ground's good, and we got our two power wires. We're good to go. So that way, when we turn this on, it's going to complete the circuit, but then it's also going to give it the ability to be dimmed. So the completion of the circuit will be internal to the switch. That's going to be the black and the red essentially connecting. And then this one is what actually goes to the LED, and that's what actually dims it. So yeah, sure that might be confusing, but wanted to just throw it in there so that if you see me wiring all this together and you're like, what are you doing? That's pretty much what I'm doing. But let's put the camera back over here so we can start plugging in our wires. And I thought those nails would come right out, but there we go. I'm just going to hammer them in there. Okay, moving on to switches. So now that we have these two switches and we figured out how we're going to wire them, we need to go ahead and wire them in here. Let's hop in the van. So we've got two spots here, and this is a little weird, kind of the big square that it cuts out, but you got to be careful. The housing that makes everything look nice and neat, that cover, it is see, what is it? I'm gonna do more touch-up. It's a little weird down here in the bottom, so you have to cut out a notch, and that's going to allow you to pop these in. You want to make sure that when you do cut this notch out, that you're not you have enough room so that the wires aren't pinching. We definitely don't want the wires to pinch. Okay, so I've got my 2 switches in here. And before I drill for my hole, I got a square. And that way I can make sure, so I'm going to lift up to make sure that those connectors don't have any pressure on them. And then I can just come up here. Drill my 2 holes. I'm just going to do the top ones first, and then we'll bolt them in, get them tight. Then we'll do the bottom ones. Okay, don't go too hard on these because they will strip out. There's not that much wood working with them. So one thing I did off camera was make sure that if the orientation of the switch is right, because if you can imagine, if you turned it up and it turns it off, I mean, it would be kind of funny for a minute, but then not so funny. So I went in the back of the van where the power was, and I tested that. All right, so these are in where we want them. Now we get to have the satisfying part by putting the covers on. That's pretty much it. That is our switches. Yeah, that's that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to go over the circuit, the wires, show you how that's laid out, and then just these switches that I put in there. You can see behind me the Trolino toilet box is ready to go. So it's finished. Even got like just a cushion that I found. It fits pretty well. I found it at Lowe's, and so it functions like it should. just like that. I'm going to go ahead, the paint is dry enough now to where I'm actually going to put those felt pads on this front side. But yeah, that's the Trillino. So it comes up, folds up against the wall. You can bring it on down. And then John and Susan, whatever you guys want to do for the seat, this is just placeholder. I thought the size would be good just to test it out with the van. Gotta be careful, there's some paint drying back there. But that's all finished. Fridge stack's finished, all the drawers are finished. The only thing that we have left in this middle part is wiring these switches up, wiring the other stuff up. We have the top. Well, actually, I can go ahead and show you guys that. I can show you that. It's dry to the touch, but it still needs to, before we start moving around or moving stuff around on it. I don't know if I can get the camera high enough. Let's see here. That's about as best as I can do. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, let's see this piece in there. Make sure I don't drop it. So you see right here, we have our electrical outlet on the left side. So pretty much this piece right here. And that's where we did that special drawer cutout. So this piece is gonna sit just like that. This will be up in the corner, so you got a ton of space to, you know, cook, make some coffee or something like that you want to inside. And then everything else outside. But if we slide this into place, just very carefully. And this edge is meant to be a perfect edge. So it'll actually be completely flush right here. I thought about giving it a lip, but it's going to be weird because if this had a lip, then the front panel is going to have a lip. It's just better if this is clean. Now there will be about a 2.5 inch backsplash back here, and that's really just to help you with if you got like a drink or a cup or a plate, you know, you don't knock it off and outside the van. Also, what I'm going to do is this gap right here. So I did that on purpose as well. When you're in a van, if you'll see throughout this van, especially John and Susan when you guys come to check it out, there's some intentional gaps, so they're real neat, and it's a neat offset of a gap. And that is just so that we don't have anything squeaking and rubbing together. Because if you've ever had two painted surfaces touch, even at your house, you can kind of hear that kind of squeak and pop. So this we'll actually have taped off, and then we'll caulk this. You know, with something tasteful, like I don't know, like an almond or something that's just that looks the right color. Or we actually tape it off with some Alex, which is an acrylic caulk that's paintable, and just do a nice line. So that's the plan for that. Sink has already been test fit. I'm just not going to touch this until this whole thing dries. It's dry to the touch, but it's not, it needs to cure overnight. Yeah, but nice 1/2-inch bamboo. Now we do have a 1/2-inch overhang. So the countertop actually comes out. And that's just to give you that, that's more of a visual cue. It just makes it look nice. Like you had like a little edge like you would in a normal household sink situation. We got the Bravati stainless steel sink. So that, we'll have that. Actually, let's pop this up into the van maybe. Hold on, guys, hold on. All right, maybe I can. I know it's like an earthquake up there. Just give me 1 second. All right, see if I can aim the camera down. There we go. So if you guys can see, there's this 1/2-inch overhang right here. And so we'll have this all glued down. That's a touch-up I got to do. Yeah, there's the bamboo. And then we got the Bravati. And then over here, this is where that outlet's going to go. So it's not going to hurt anything to just pop this in. But see, this is where we had to do that weird drawer modification. So that this would actually go in there just like that. Let's take a little tour. We've got our door. So this door goes to this is the garage area. So garage area access, and then we have an L-track back here. It's spaced for a Flatline Vanco tray to be installed in the future, but it's going to be used for bikes. Then we get our cork pads so that when we shut the door, everything is nice. No rattles. We've got a couple of our drawers here. So got 18-inch. Got enough room so that the drawer can actually come out if you need to clean it. And so that's soft close with marine latches. And then we have huge bottom drawer. So this drawer is huge. This drawer is huge. This drawer is designed differently because we have a lot of stuff going on over here. We have some support members, as well as we're kind of doing a double dip here. I'm actually using this outside of the drawer, this opening, to actually take in air to go up and kind of convect through the this whole thing. So the sides are open here. As ventilation. I thought that was kind of cool. And then right here is our door for changing out our hot water. I mean, not hot water, gray water. Let's see. I don't know what the camera is looking at. There's our That's as far as the camera will go down. But this is our Trillino seat box, or jump seat. And so this, so depending on what John and Susan use for the top of it, it's just super clean. Nice piano style hinge. And we'll have to discuss how they want to put a handle on it or do an opening. You could put a grab handle here. That way it's not around somebody's legs if they are sitting here when you're hanging out in the van. But I didn't want to cut anything in here to mess up the structure of this lid. So yeah, John and Susan, think about what kind of handle you'd like to have on this to open it up. I mean, you can't just kind of push on the side and open it up. It's not. It opens up pretty easy. But so as we open this up, you can see here, it just sits up against the wall, and what's the coolest thing is this is the exact size of a regular size of toilet paper. You can fit 6 rolls in here plus cleaning supplies. So believe it or not, this was kind of, I didn't think, well here, I'll show you the toilet first and then I'll take it out. So when you go to use it, this is all recessed. So when you go to sit down, your leg's not going to pinch on this sharp edge. Now, the edge is not sharp. I did take it down with a sander, but I kept the edge clean because we don't want to have these round over edges because the style of the van, it won't look right design-wise. Anyway, so this is where you go. You got your toilet paper supplies over there. When you're done, you just go ahead and shut it. So this will have felt pads in the front and back, so you won't have this kind of noisy. It's not noisy right now. Anyway. But when you come to take it out, I've got some brackets in there. I had 2 brackets here. I had to relocate one of them because the Trillino sits on it and it was touching the plastic and making it wobble, so I had to fix that. But look how much storage you have. So you have all back here, this whole entire backside. So really, if you didn't have the Trillino, this is just a ton of storage for your van. But it fits the Trillino perfectly, and there's this gap is specific for this felt tape that I have. So I'll put one here and here, and this thing will just slip in like a glove. It won't move at all. Yep, and then when you're done, this comes down. Now notice, this has an offset right here. So this offset is on purpose. You can imagine if this thing was the same distance, you could potentially scratch this going up and down. So this is intentional so that there's no way that this is going to touch this wall. But yeah, that is the jump seat. And then I'll pan up, and then that'll be the end of the stream because I got a couple more things I got to do tonight. It's going to be a late night every night until the van is knocked out. So yeah, we've got the fridge stack, we've got the microwave, and then we've got the EcoFlow control panel and the Webasto. And then up top, that is our vent to vent out the whole stack. So that's kind of my engineering way to get the hot air to convect and go through the van. All right, guys, that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Turn that notification bell on so that you're notified anytime I go live. Check out vanbuilderhq.com and also check out the DIY Van Build cheat sheet, a free Excel document from me to you to help you with your van building conversions. It has all the parts that I bought from Amazon over the past 3 years. You guys can check that out in the link in the description below. And I think it'll really help you out. And then also, if you want a van like this, custom build like John and Susan are doing with me, my custom van building business is Odyssey Custom Vans. Link is also in the description below. And I can build you a custom van. All right, guys, that is it. Hope you like this little mini tour and electrical lesson today. That's going to do it for the live stream, and I'll see you guys in the next one.